story that's kind of near and dear to our heart that I thought maybe that we could touch on, Chris, has to do with pitcher for the Washington Nationals, Stephen Strasburg, who's been out for some time due to an injury. We actually went and saw him at the Fred Nats Park, Fredericksburg Nationals park here a couple weeks ago, where he was doing kind of his bringing him back to the majors. He was doing a couple of games and
rehab starts. Yeah, they call them rehab starts.
Rehab starts. There you go. You're more of a sports person than me.
That's all right. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
But the long and short of it is that he is coming back to the Nationals. He's done the rehab starts. They feel like he's in a good place now, and he's going to be pitching for them on Thursday.
Yeah, this is big news for Nats fans. I mean, it won't save this season. The Nats are currently 21-36, deep in last place in the NL East. But if you look at the future for the Nats, what Mike Rizzo, the general manager, is trying to do is a quick rebuild around a couple of pieces: Juan Soto and Stephen Strasburg. And Juan Soto is having his batting average isn't what it's normally, but that he started last year off slow too and ended up over 300, and his home run numbers, everything else are great. Strasburg will have not pitched until tomorrow night since at the major league level since last June 1st. And since he signed his 7-year, $245 million deal after the 2019 World Series, he was the World Series MVP that year. He's only pitched in 7 games at the big league level with a 1-3 record, 5.74 ERA. He had surgery in 2020 for carpal tunnel. He had surgery in 2021 for thoracic outlet syndrome. So pretty serious issues to deal with. And it was not a given that you would necessarily even see him pitching this year. I mean, certainly the hope was that he would be able to pitch this year. But we were there, as you mentioned. Scott German, our colleague, was at Strasburg's first start with the Fred Nats. And it was a cold night. It was his first start, first time against live hitters and that kind of thing. He didn't do so well. The start we saw on the Sunday afternoon, I think it was May 22nd. It was a warm day, great weather to play baseball in, and he pitched 5 no-hit innings. He walked one guy. That was in the 5th inning. I think it was 2 outs in the 5th before he even allowed a base runner in that game. His fastball was regularly hitting 94. I was noticing that. That was important to me as an observer hey, if his fastball is around 94, his curveball is off the table like it normally is. His changeup looks good. All right, good. The Nats wanted to see one more start out of him at the minor league level. They sent him to AAA Rochester for a game last Friday night. 6 innings, 1 hit allowed. And they wanted him to pitch at least 6 innings or throw 90 pitches. He threw 83 pitches. And so Davey Martinez said yesterday in announcing that Strasburg will start tomorrow night for the Nationals against the Miami Marlins down in Miami, that basically all shackles are off. He's not going to be on a pitch count. He's not going to be on an innings count. He's going to go out there and do what he can do. And so this is huge news for the Nats. Again, this season, you're likely going to see him start about 20 games. It's not going to turn the season around. They're not going to make a surprise. They're not going to do what they did 3 years ago and go from a bad start to the World Series. But the hope here is that you will see Strasburg establish himself again the way we expect Strasburg to be, have good numbers, good record in his games, that kind of thing. And then you can build around him, build around Juan Soto, and maybe next year's team will have a chance. You'll see that they'll try to build around those 2 guys and maybe make next year and certainly the following year. The Nats have a deadline of a pretty important deadline of one sort. Juan Soto is under team control contract-wise through the end of the 2024 season, which means they're trying to make efforts already to re-sign him long-term. They'd love to sign him to a basically lifetime contract. They'd love to sign him like the Phillies did Bryce Harper, the former Nats star. He signed a 13-year deal when he left the Nationals. That's essentially the end of that's going to take him through the end of his career. The Nats would love to do the same with Juan Soto. But to prove to Juan Soto that he doesn't want to play for a bad team. Juan Soto is a generational talent. He's going to be a Hall of Fame player. He doesn't want to spend his Hall of Fame career kind of like Mike Trout is out in Los Angeles with the Angels, year after year not making the playoffs. So you want to prove to Soto that we can build around you and build a winner. Strasburg's an important element of that. So yes, it's not going to save this season, but I think it can pay dividends down the road for Nats fans, and we're two big Nats fans.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Martinez just wanted to get him on the mound as soon as possible. There were some grumblings on social media from fans who said they can't believe his first start wasn't at home. But again, now that he got the call back up, I'm sure that they were wanting him to pitch as soon as it was possible.
I will go into that too. Not even just as soon as possible. He's on a road. He's on a set. Starting pitchers pitch every fifth day. I mean, they get into a rhythm that way. Now there's off days in between and that kind of thing. And so his fifth day would actually be tonight, Wednesday night, from his last start last Friday. But the Nats also, they started their number one starter this year is a young pitcher named Josiah Gray. He was acquired in the trade for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner last year. And Gray is looking pretty good. He's 6-4 this season, and they didn't want to throw him off schedule. So they decided to give Strasburg one extra day rest. But if you wait another day, I mean, this is a guy that's coming off of 2 surgeries. You don't want to mess around too much. And so that would have maybe necessitated another rehab start for Strasburg. And the decision, I think it's a pretty wise decision. Let's get him out there, throw him in a major league game. And he's done what he can do against the minor league guys. And I'm all, the hard part, Crystal. Okay, we'll take it back to politics for a second. Tomorrow night is this game, and also tomorrow night is the first hearing of the televised hearing of the January 6th committee, House January 6th committee. We're gonna have to, we normally set up 2 TVs and we will do this tonight because tonight there's AEW wrestling. There's also Game 3 of the NBA Finals. We're big wrestling fans. We're big enough Golden State Warriors fans. Tonight's a 2 TV night in our living room. I think tomorrow night's a 2 TV night in our living room as well.
All right, Chris. Well, a lot to keep up with, a lot to watch.
No reaction to that?
Yeah, well, I'm used to it,
You're used to
I'm
it,
used to these 2 TVs. We have some friends who come over to watch sports with us because we can do that setup, so they can watch a game and we can watch something else and we can all kind of be there together.
The audio will be on the wrestling tonight until the wrestling's over. Tomorrow, gosh, I got to choose. I mean, we obviously have to have the audio for the hearing.
I don't think there's any choice there. I think the audio for the hearing, and we can just keep up with the game.
But we have an 80-inch TV, and then we'll bring a 50-inch, pretty lightweight 50-inch TV. The big screen tonight has the wrestling and the audio. Tomorrow, and then the basketball game's on the small screen until after the wrestling's over. Tomorrow night, I think I'm going to have. I mean, this is what I'm advocating for. We'll see how it goes. I'm advocating for the big screen to be the baseball, but the small screen to have the audio because. I don't need to see necessarily what they're showing. I just want to hear what they're saying. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I mean,
that's a good call. I think that's a good call for tomorrow night.
So. Tough calls to make there, though.
All right. So we want to thank everyone who tuned in and listened throughout this podcast. We're going to try to do this weekly, keep you up to date on the news and sports. Of course, Chris is doing podcasts throughout the week, but as far as when I jump in and join him, at least once a week. So tune in again next week. But we want to thank you. If you want to read any of these stories, any additional information on them, you can, of course, go to our website, AugustaFreePress.com. For Chris Graham, I'm Crystal Graham. We're signing off. Have a great day, everybody.